Hi guys, so it's a year since I started to learn Portuguese, and by this stage I've read about 600,000 words and about 330 hours of listening, and it's one of the best things I've done. I have some brief thoughts on language learning in general. I think that the best way to describe language learning, to see a language opening up to you, to someone who's never experienced that, is something like a radio that is out of tune. You're listening to a radio and nothing makes sense. You can't hear anything, and then over time you learn more and more, and it becomes clearer and clearer and clearer, and you can now hear the tune that everyone's dancing to. Um, and so I think I've started to hear the tune of Portuguese over the last year. My thoughts on language learning are is whenever I started, I did Duolingo, I did LingQ, and I think Duolingo is a waste of time. I think Duolingo is learning off vocab, and that's fine. It'll get you to some level of where you want in the language. It's the best thing to do if you're going on a quick holiday. But the problem with it is that there's words don't have a one-to-one relationship between languages. And secondly, it's not how you're actually going to have to like understand the language in context. In context, you whenever you're actually experiencing the language, you're going to have everything surrounded by other words. So in many ways, flashcards are both not how not how the language is actually going to be in real life, and also flashcards are in many ways too hard because you're not going to get the context that you need. So LingQ is much more down the line of heavy listening and heavy reading with some aids in order to allow you to like read at a more comfortable level than you would otherwise. I think LingQ is great. I think that if I was doing things again, I would leave LingQ to a bit later because sometimes I was developing pronunciation issues because I was reading things wrong. So I might read things in terms of how those sounds would sound in English rather than having the Portuguese sound system built underneath everything. Then in about May time, I did an update on the Refold server, and someone contacted me and said, "Here, have you ever done crosstalk?" And I was like, "What do you mean by crosstalk?" Crosstalk is whenever one person speaks their native language, so I speak English, and then the other person speaks Portuguese, and you go back and forth having conversation like this. Now, there's great things about this. First of all, the other person can adjust the level of their Portuguese or whatever language it is to your level. And the second thing about it is that you can talk about more interesting stuff, more varied stuff. So it's a lot less boring than having a lesson where someone's trying to teach you the names of animals or whatever, because that's all you can speak about. And besides, I think that the evidence is pretty clear that speaking does very little for your overall language knowledge. Most of your language knowledge is going to come through listening and reading. And then I think if I was to do things now, at the level that I am now, I think I would much more heavily go into the reading kind of thing because I've got much more of the sound system of Portuguese in place, and you can read a lot quicker than you can watch TV. So from about May, then I did a weekly crosstalk, which is just really fun, and I just listened to a lot more stuff. So I used shows on Netflix. I used uh, YouTube Premium's well worth getting, so you can just listen to shows constantly. And these days I get about 2.5 hours of Portuguese per day in listening. And I think that sounds really, really, really hard for people. And I think if I was told you'd be doing that amount of listening, it's like, how do you even have a job if you do that? But it's actually totally fine because as you get better at the language, your tolerance for the foreignness decreases because it gets easier, and also it's less noisy. So it's again like that radio and being tuned in. You can get more meaning from what's going on, so you don't have to work as hard on it. So doing half an hour whenever you start learning a language of listening seems really painful, even if it's like baby stories. But once you've done a lot, you get a lot better. In terms of my progress, I feel like whenever I went to Lisbon and spoke with natives, I had to look up the words to say things because I don't do any speaking practice at the moment, and don't really know how to say some phrases if they don't come up on TV. So, for example, no one in TV says, "Oh, where is the bathroom?" So I had to look that up. But whenever someone replied to me, they were saying, "Oh, where's the bathroom? Oh, the bathroom is at the end of this hall." Or if you go back the way you came, there's another bathroom on the left hand side, and you go through that. So that might be more convenient for you. And I understood all of that. So I feel like I'm making a lot of good progress on Portuguese. I feel like my listening's getting to a much better level. I want to keep pushing on high level of listening. I might start doing a bit more reading and stuff like that to supplement, but listening's going to be the big push. And I feel like in a month or two, I should start doing maybe a little bit of practice of speaking, but we'll see how we get there. But for the moment, that's my review. I highly recommend Crosstalk. And if you're specifically looking to learn Portuguese, I can't recommend my friend Gabriel anymore for his excellent Crosstalk lessons. So best of luck with learning languages. It's really, really fun.